Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spirit Coffee Talk this week. Really happy to have you here. It's been an intense week for energies. This week we dove into all about the intensity of everything, the triggers that are coming up for everyone, how we can really nurture and support ourselves through it because it's a challenging time, and also talked about some card pulls and tarot and really tuned into the energies overall. So hope you enjoy it. As always, please like and subscribe and leave in the comments any questions or follow-up stuff that you want us to tune into. Welcome to another week of Spirit Coffee Talk. My name is Elyse, and I'm joined with the lovely Lisa and Ginette, and we are the mediums and channels of Avalon Spirit. And we are here to talk to you this week about, we're not really sure. We're going to talk about the intensity of things and what's been going on, because it's been a lot for us, and I feel like it's been a lot for everybody. So what do you guys got? I think we're going to go kind of the card route because we've been talking for a little bit and it's been intense and we're not really sure what to make of it at this point.
So for anyone who's kind of been following Spirit Coffee Talk, we've kind of just touched base on the energies of the week, right? Every Friday we meet for coffee, we talk about the energies of the week. And I think collectively, like the three of us were talking, that this past week has been intense, right? There's been intense energies of up and down, kind of the solar flares. I know Ginette's podcast this week talks about that and the intense energies that are coming in, and not to feel like it's you or you're not alone in this, and that the high levels of anxiety, fear, almost disconnect is really quite high, as well as I've noticed feeling dizzy and kind of like not grounded, where it's like your space around you is kind of not stable. And I think that there's just some movement happening, right, with the energies of that, and people kind of I want to say moving and trying to find and shift into a solid timeline, because the frequency right now is very kind of unstable. So if you're feeling a little bit unstable and you're feeling, dizzy, nauseous, or like anxious or tired, you're not alone. I can guarantee one of those things has been a ongoing thing. So just to let you know, you're not alone. Ginette, did you pull some cards?
Yeah, before I jump into the cards, I just want to touch base real quick on the messages from Spirit. Just so everything you were saying about the energy is totally on par. It is exactly that. And these energies are coming in to trigger us to further embody who we are, right? But we have to remember that whatever triggers are coming up, because I know even for us and other people I've talked to, we've been like triggered by things that are kind of old stories we've tried to put to rest already. Like we've done all the work we could think possible on these stories, and we're like, okay, I have logically dealt with it, dealt with it emotionally, I have dealt with it spiritually, I have, it's like, really? And again, but this is a common theme happening really intensely for people this week, is this triggering of stuff that it's like, what the heck does the universe want me to do with it? And part of that, just to consider and keep in mind as almost like something to hold on to, is that this is triggering you so that you can further embody, further stand in your truth, and further stand who you are by what else you can learn. It's kind of like if any of you guys ever did competitive sports, right? And when you're at that higher level competitive sports, let's take figure skating. You may already be doing a beautiful triple axel jump, right? You may already have nailed it, but your coach is like, you can do better. You're like, I'm already landing it. Your coach is like, yeah, well, you know what? You are landing it. But actually, if you look at it, when you land it, you're a little bit bent forward. Your leg's not extended as much as it could be. And yes, you're nailing it, but not as much as you could. And I feel like what I'm getting from the universe right now is that this is what it's doing. It's helping us be even that much better. Like that much better. Like a step up from good. And as annoying as that is, and even if, again, we go back to the sports analogy, that would be annoying in that situation. You're like, I'm already doing it, and you're asking for better. But it's like the universe is like,
People step up and be better then. Like, how can we move past the irritant of the constant, like, you can do better, or step into it, or embody, like, when it feels like, like, when it feels like, how
I think what we have to do in that is like, again, I'm going to keep using the sports analogy. Sometimes if you're on the ice and they keep asking you to do better, you can't do better in that moment. So your best bet is to get off the ice. Take off your skates, go home, eat, sleep, do something 3D, and then come back to the rink again tomorrow. Right? So I think when you don't know what to do anymore, at least this is what I'm feeling, is like take a break from it. Step back and then come back with fresh eyes and see if there's anything different you can do.
That sounds good.
If you're like in the moment of it, you're not going to see it different because you're like, I'm already doing it.
Right.
But it's like you have to get those fresh eyes somehow.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think with this too, it's and something for people to like consider and remember, especially to your point, Ginette, about like taking a break, is that for me, sometimes I can kind of feel into the difference of like, this feels like an energetic thing that's being triggered that I need to work through. And then I can kind of like, oh, I can maybe look at it and see like, oh, maybe this is a pattern that's replaying, or like I can kind of see it and feel it and rationalize with it a little bit. It's very uncomfortable, but then I'm like, oh, I know what to do with this. Like I can use my tools and da-da-da. Right now, it feels more intense than that. And I feel like it's a little bit harder to, in the moment, realize what's happening because it feels so intense and it feels like there's no way this is an energetic thing. Something is wrong. I am anxious. Something is wrong. Like it's so much, it's at a different level, right? Like you were saying with that analogy, it's like the bests before was that sensation of like, oh, something's being triggered, but okay, I can work with this. This next level of like level up to this next best, the triggers are intense. And so to be really gentle with yourself. And if you're like, stuff is happening, I am worried, I am fearful, I'm stressing, I'm Googling, a million things because I'm trying to figure something out, or I have anxiety or whatever it is, it's like at minimum or at best, just seeing that and taking a step back and nurturing yourself, because I'm finding it really challenging in that moment to even access any of my tools. And I think, Ginette, you were saying that earlier. It's like the things that I usually know to do are not working. Because it's so much. So all there is left to do is like step back and just support ourselves, kind of coming back down to the ground, in whatever way that is, which for me has been nurturing and like allowing myself space and time and distractions and, funny TikToks and, 3D things that maybe I try not to spend too much time on, outside of day-to-day stuff, but like really dropping into those practices of like, this is okay to watch a silly movie, and it's always okay, but like it's okay to watch 3 in the night
all day. I know I was gonna say, but then more than one.
But maybe limited to one. Yeah.
So, can I talk about these cards for a second?
Do.
Because this is really interesting. So, without going too much into tarot, because tarot's like its whole other language. But when I go into, how do I explain this? Okay, I'm just gonna give you guys the general. So I have, what's that?
Sorry, I'm just coughing.
Oh, there's a ton of energetic cards in here. So there's different tarot cards that mean like you specifically, or it can mean people in your life specifically. And then there's some that are about energetics. And I'm getting a ton about like an energy of emotions coming in, like the Knight of Swords, which is our present card. So I pulled a past, present, future. So the past card was the World card here, which is like endings and completions, culminations, and so on. So that one, I'm gonna have to pull a clarifier. But with this present card, the Knight of Swords, Knights usually are ones that bring in an energy of something. So they don't always necessarily mean a person or you, but can be an energetic of the universe, which is how I usually read Knights. That's all like emotional. Swords are like the heart. They're watery. They're kind of like Scorpio energy that we're in, right? It's that underbelly energy. But it's saying that's our present right now so that we can come out as the King of Cups, which is like owning the sovereignty of an energy of love, right? And drawing that to us. So, I mean, that's a really interesting thing. But when I pull a card for the position of what we can do about it, each and every one of us, we have a Seven of Wands. And a Seven of Wands is all like about taking that last stand, like prepping for battle. But wands are all about the divine journey, right? An energy of fire right now. And we've used this analogy. It feels like there's like fires we're trying to put out energetically, and we start to win, but then we turn our back for a second and the fire's back, right? So we're having to work really hard right now in the divine journey. But then we have here the Nine of Wands in the position of the universe's influences. So the universe is working with us. It's giving a Nine of Wands, nines meaning endings, bringing things together. So the universe is technically working in our favor to help us find, and this is the Lover's card, which is balance, polarity, balance. So that we can then, as the final outcome of this pull, land as a King of Wands, being in that position of control of the journey. Not control, but like embodiment of the journey. So the two outcome cards are both King cards, which are like the ultimate embodiment of our heart energy of love, which is cups, and our divine journey, which is wands. So I find that really interesting. And I have to say, this deck that I'm using is the deck that I use when I need a pretty solid answer, but this deck doesn't sugarcoat it. This deck has told me some pretty serious answers to things that maybe I didn't want to hear, but it was accurate. So that being said, I take this as pretty accurate to how we're feeling right now, but the outcomes are good. But the outcomes are like really about the embodiments. It's us embodying. And so this triggering that we're having right now with the Knight of Swords, making us feel like we are taking this last stand, will be fruitful.
Okay, I have a question then it comes up here.
Mm-hmm.
Is this more of an like where the end result is in Kings, right? So is it right now with being triggered and all of it? Is it more of action? Is it action, or is it like the
Yeah.
seven? Is it taking action to what you want?
It is. It is being the one choosing and co-creating with the universe. It's not about sitting waiting for the universe to like tell you what to do, not you specifically, but like
No, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
we often, so we're moving into an energy of embodiment. That's what 2022 is about. 2022 is about embodiment, is being the sovereign source here. Doesn't mean we still can't look for guidance, but it's less the dynamic of how we've been in the past of like, Spirit, what do I do? Spirit, what do I do? Now the spirit world is saying, what do you want? What are you choosing to do now based on what you know? And we will co-create with you based on the actions you take. Right? So we're in this change point. We're in this midway point of that 100 years of change happening in 4 years. We're at the midway point right now. So we're moving into that embodiment phase of what do we want to do now, and what action steps are we going to take in our physical that correspond with our journey, so that we can fully embody. Now, I want to say too, I'm saying this as if I can do this easily. I'm still in the same boat as you guys too, and those watching, where it's like, well, right? Like this is merely me delivering the message, but I also feel the human frustration of like, I would love some clarity and more guidance, but I'm getting what they're saying of it's like, listen, you take a step, we take a step. You take a step, we take a step. We're not carrying you, we're walking with you now. Yeah.
I pulled some cards as well, not tarot. And as I was shuffling, the retreat card jumped out. And I find it interesting that it's quite like, it's a wintry snow globe. And even the title of the card is Spirit Guardian of the Winter Retreat. So just as we were talking about, like really just going inward and nurturing ourselves. And when that stuff is coming up, for me, I'm feeling like the best way to, this is interesting. So the best way for me to support it is to just like hold myself in it. And when I work with folks from a coaching perspective, when resistance comes up, so like we're trying to work towards something and I have resistance around it, we don't fight against the resistance. We wrap our arms around it, like a child having a temper tantrum. Can we hold them and just allow them to feel what they're feeling and move through it? Or are we trying to like change it, fix it, resist it, push it away? Usually, well, not usually, when we're able to really drop into our feelings and we hold ourselves in that, and that is a form of embodiment, in dropping into your feelings and like letting your physical self express the stuff that you're experiencing, that's when it shifts. When you hear, oh, an emotion only lasts for 90 seconds, that's true if you allow it to be fully expressed in the body. If we hop into the brain and start thinking about it and let the stories go, you're resetting that 90-second clock every time you have a thought about it. And it's a practice. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's, for me, when I'm feeling anxiety, all I want to do is fix it. All I want to do is get out of it. All I want to do is figure out, okay, I'm going to learn this and do this and figure this out in order to fix this problem that I'm fearful might happen. Can I pause and just like, and I just keep seeing this vision of like wrapping my arms around myself and just being like, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm feeling anxiety in this moment. What am I feeling in my body? My heart's racing. I feel like my chest and my throat are tight. I'm hot. I feel like I want to like jump out of this chair, and like just giving space for those emotions also to me speaks to retreating, like going into ourselves. But then I pulled a couple other cards. So that jumped out, and then I pulled 3. And this is one, uncertainty, that I've pulled multiple times in the last couple of days, and it's the thicket of thorns. But what this card really talks about is like, yes, we're in a time of uncertainty, but stop struggling against it. Stop struggling with it and trying to fight it, and just like surrender into that moment of, I don't know what is going on right now. I don't know what this outcome is. I don't know where this is going, but just surrender. And then you stop entangling yourself so much when you stop the struggle. And then the second one was the Phoenix transmutation. So we're going through the fire and we will come out of it. And then the third one was success, which is interesting because it's the secret spring card. So it kind of makes me wonder if we're starting in winter right now in this like real challenge. And I do get the sense, and I've kind of had the sense for a couple of days, that we're going to have another big shift point for the winter solstice on is it always the 21st of December? I don't know, but the winter solstice is what they said, which is why things are getting so intense and real leading up to that, as if they weren't before. It's just a new level. We just keep thinking it's going to be getting easier, and it's not. But then it makes me wonder if then success and that real feeling of like, oh, we've shifted into that embodiment phase comes in the spring, with kind of that new life, new beginning, energy of spring, but also just through the energies of what's happening.
Yeah. Interesting. What did you get, Lisa? Did you pull?
No.
No, you didn't. No. Well, I mean, I think it's just going to be intense for a little bit longer. I was getting yesterday, I mean, we have more solar energy coming in through this weekend too, so it's still going to be intense. But I was hearing from my guides that once the full moon happens, I can't remember when the full moon is, but when the full moon happens, it'll start to dissipate after. Because there was a big thing about November being a strong push for powerful new beginnings. And usually when Spirit uses words like powerful new beginnings, it's not like beautiful, gentle, powerful, like blissful, powerful. It's usually like transformative, powerful, which means work on our part. But by the time of the full moon, and as it kind of comes down after 3 days after, we should start to feel like a shift in the energy, softening a little bit for December. Because I feel like December is when we get to like gather, kind of almost like sweep up the parts after the like explosion of new beginnings. We get to like sweep it up and kind of clean it up, and have Christmas music on and pull it all together. So I think it's still going to be intense for a little bit, and I'm just going to look up when the full moon is just to give some context here. Hold on. 19th. November 19th. So we're close. We're 7 days out. So, yeah, it's just going to be intense for a little while longer. Probably another 10 days or so. Yeah. Well, anybody else have any other insights? No. Okay. Well,
I just feel that even right now, like I didn't feel this way before we jumped on, but I'm feeling it like tired. Like it just this like full body sensation of tired. And I think as we're just going through this stuff, like how can you nurture yourself is like all I just want to like cocoon in bed and snuggle with my dogs and sleep. That's and watch like fun movies and whatever. Listen to Taylor Swift's album and cry.
yes, you know, they did put Christmas carols on the radio today. I had the radio on and all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, this is a Christmas carol. And I like double checked to make sure it was the radio. And so that was like a little shred of joy that came in. I was like, okay, you know, we can kind of focus on Christmas season and really embrace that now. Remembrance Day is over. And I think it's just, yeah, like you said, like nourishment and finding joy where you can. Because again, we have to remember, and I know this is so hard in this state, but joy and laughter are the highest, fastest, most effective ways to increase your frequency. So whatever things can bring you that, whether it's like playing with your kids or playing with your pet or watching a funny movie. We had Home Alone on this morning here because we had a bazillion children over for sleepovers. But I mean, there's laughter and that I could feel that helping. So I think that's one thing to kind of hang on to is like, where can you find those bits of laughter or joy just to kind of shift the dynamic, even through music too, right? Like music's a powerful one too. So yeah. And then I think we see where we're at by next week. I mean, next week is going to be the full moon then. 7 days from now,
Yeah,
the 15th.
we'll be on here on the full moon, which is
Yeah.
cool.
So it'll be interesting to see where everybody's at by next week and how we're feeling on the full moon, whether we all show up with like our hair on fire or if we show up like super zen and like everything's okay. And we're levitating by that point.
Levitated
go
and activated. And we're good.
Totally.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Well, thanks, ladies. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. And as always, feel free to comment anything else that you want to hear and anything else that you'd like for us to talk about. And yeah, let us know what's been coming up for you because we've all been through it. So there's a nice way to build community. Check out the Avalon Spirit Facebook group as well as Ginette's podcast. And we're all on Avalon Spirit as journey guides. And yeah, we hope to connect with you and keep supporting yourself through all of this. Okay.
Awesome.
Bye.
See you later.